What is up, guys? Fire here from AwesomeTuts.com, and moving forward with, well, our robot script or the player script, we have programmed our robot to move. The next thing is to program the movement of the arms. So we're gonna be able to move his arms up and down, or rotate him up and down and shoot, and some other effects. But before that, go on AwesomeTuts.com if you're interested in creating 3D games, want to learn how the professionals are doing it, you want to learn how to get into the game industry, well, this is the course for you. You have nothing to lose but much to gain. 30-day money-back guarantee is involved, so you will also be supporting the creation of these other tutorials because there are people who cannot afford, and I still put out quality content. Well, the more people I have in my courses, the more time I will have to create content like this. So go over there, get the course, you will not regret it. Also download the assets for this project and this tutorial series. Link is in the description below. That way you will land on my email list and get course discounts. Anyways, moving forward, let us now rotate the arms of the robot. And for that, I'm gonna test here if input.getKey, and the key is gonna, well, be up arrow. So up, if we press the up arrow key, or if we press the V key or the W key actually, or if, well, input get key code W. So if we either press the up arrow or the W key, what we want to do, well, we want to get the right arm and we want to say rotate. So rotate the right arm at using vector3.back, which is a shorthand for writing vector 3, 0, 0, 0, -1. We're going to multiply that by 200, so 200f, and multiply that by time.delta time. We're gonna do the same thing for the left arm. So here we have the left arm, and up we have the right arm. Before somebody even asks me, why do we add 200? Why don't we add 100? Well, you can play with the number. You can add 200, you can add 3,000, you can have 200 billion. I don't care. Just play with the number, and the best smoothing effect that you get, well, that's the number you want to use. Maybe the best number here is 200, so I'm using 200. Maybe you want to achieve a faster effect, so faster rotation, so then use a larger number, so on and so forth. Here I am going to say else if, actually I'm going to copy all of this here. And I'm going to say else if input get key is going to be down arrow, and it's going to be the S key. So if we press the down arrow on the keyboard or the S key, we are going to rotate them by using vector 3 forward, and here also vector 3 forward. Everything else is going to be the same, and we can, well, test it out right now. So if I go here, hit the play button, and I'm not sure if you can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So do you see, and actually why I was assuming that we can actually zoom in and move the scene, but apparently not. Anyways, notice now when I press up, do you see? So do you see how the arms are rotating for our robot? And now when we start to shoot, we will be able to shoot in the direction. So we can shoot up, we can shoot backwards, we can shoot down, we can shoot wherever we want to shoot. So simply up and down, S or W key, and you see what we have here. So this is the rotation of the arms. So we are essentially testing if we press one of these keys, rotate it backwards or rotate it forward. This is nothing hard, not that complicated. If we press the Z key, so I'm going to say if input.getKey, and it's going to be key code Z. So if we press Z on our keyboard, we are going to start to move upwards. That is fly. And for that, we're going to use the const force variable. And we're going to say dot force is equal to vector 3.0. This is the initial. So we're setting the force of the constant force, which is the component here. Clicking on the robot and going here into the inspector panel, notice the constant force, this one right here that we got in our awake function. So here it is. This is that variable. So set it to vector 30, which is 0, 0, 0 for X, Y, and Z. And we're going to say if my body dot velocity dot y. So if the y velocity of the rigid body is less than 4, then we are gonna add a boost to it. So we're gonna say my body dot add a relative force. So adds a force to the rigid body relative to its coordinate system. So relative to his own position, not the world position, relative to his own position. We're gonna say vector 3 up. And we're gonna say multiply by 20. So this is the force that we wanna add. And since this is the only line of code, I can remove these. Again, notice here, if the velocity, and people I don't know, for some reason, I'm explaining this over and over and over, and people don't get it. Velocity is speed over time. Speed is the force by which we move the car. So the speed in this case is your gas pedal. Velocity is that scale that shows you the speed. So it increases over time. It goes like this and increases over time as you add gas. So the more gas or the more speed you add, the more the scale goes up. The scale is the velocity. It's speed over time. So speed is by how much you want to move that game object. Velocity, on the other hand, is speed over time. So how much the speed of that object has increased over time. So this is that difference. So if the speed over time and the y, so we are testing the y speed over time. If it's less than 4, we will add force to the rigid body. And we're using vector 3 up, which is 0, 1, 0. So upwards on the y-axis, multiply that by 20 to add force on the game object. And here we are also going to test if boost main dot loop. So if the boost main, and I'm going to add an exclamation mark, if the boost main is not looping, that means we are not showing this effect. So if I go here, we are not showing this effect here that you just saw. So it is not running. So that is what we are testing. Let me just put this back here like this. If the boost is not showing the particle effects, and notice I added an exclamation mark, so this will return true if we have the loop. So it's showing the particles, but if it's not, it will return false. The exclamation mark will make it the opposite, which is true. So essentially here we are asking if the boost main is not looping, we're gonna say boost. So boost main dot play, or actually boost dot play, to play the particle system, and boost main dot loop is now equal to true. So play the particle systems and loop them until I tell you not to, well, play them anymore. Else, here, if we did not input the key code Z, what we want to do? Well, we simply want to say const force is now equal to, or dot force is now equal to new vector 3, and I'm gonna say 0f, negative 10f, and 0f. And we're gonna say boost main dot loop is now equal to false. Simple as that. So again, if we press the Z key, we're setting the constant force to 0, which is gonna make our game object lighter, not heavier, but lighter. And we are testing if the speed over time, so the y speed over time, is less than 4. If that's true, add force to the player to move him upwards. So we are adding in direction vector 3 up, multiplied by 20. If the boost is not looping, so not showing the particles, boost, play the particles and loop them. Else, if we don't press the Z key, set the constant force to 10, boost, stop looping, don't show the particles anymore until we press the Z key again. Let's test it out. So if I press the play button and zoom out of the view here, and I can move the player. If I press the Z key, notice now, I am flying. I believe I can fly. So yeah, essentially we are flying, and this is that loop. So you see, when I press only once, so I press it once, we see the effect. Notice now, I'm gonna click it once. So clicking once, it lasts for a moment or two, and then it goes away because this is how the boost particle is set up. It will only last a little bit, and then it will go away. The loop will make it last as long as we are pressing and holding the button. So I'm pressing and holding, pressing and holding, pressing and holding. Notice the boost will not stop. And this is that effect. Again, while I release it for too long and the boost has stopped. And notice here, I'm gonna just play it. I'm holding the button, I'm not releasing it. Notice the boost. And notice one other thing is that we are in the sky. So we are not on the ground. If we go back here, we are not on the ground. So is grounded is not true because we are in the sky, we're flying. So we're playing the idle animation. We're not playing the walk animation, which will be weird walking into the sky. And this is for our Z key or flying. Next, we want to shoot. So how can we shoot? Well, if input that get key, and this is going to be key code X. So when we press X key on our keyboard, and if you want to make it with the mouse, you can say if input that get mouse button down 0. This is when you press the left mouse button. And we talked about this. I talked about it a myriad times. This is if you want to shoot when you click on the mouse button. So if we press X on our keyboard, what we want to do? Well, first we want to test if the audio manager that is not playing. So again, with the exclamation mark, this is the right way to test things if they are not true. Don't test them like this. So don't test if audio manager is playing is equal to false. Rarely will you see some programmer, professional programmer use this. They use it like this. So they use an exclamation mark. Again, if the audio manager is playing, this will return true. If the audio manager is not playing, it will return false. The exclamation mark will make it the opposite. So essentially here we're asking if the audio manager is not playing. Same as here, we're asking if the boost main is not looping. And I need to emphasize not. So we're not asking if it is playing. We're asking if it's not playing because we added the exclamation mark. So if the audio manager is not playing, we're gonna say audio manager play. So play the shoot effect. And we're gonna start a coroutine. So start coroutine, and the coroutine is gonna be light control. So what is this coroutine? Well, this coroutine is gonna be created here. So I'm gonna say I enumerator light control. And here we are gonna type while true. So as long as this coroutine is running, so while it is true, we're simply gonna say left light, and left light dot intensity is equal to right light. It's right light dot intensity, which is equal to 1. And then we're gonna say yield return. You wait for seconds, and we're gonna wait 0.3. So 0.3 of a second. And then we're gonna yield, or actually intensity is here, then we're gonna yield. And again, we're gonna take this and we are gonna say that the lights are gonna be 0. And again, we are gonna wait. So this is gonna turn lights off, or actually on and off, every 0.3 of a second. So every 0.3 of a second, we are gonna turn the lights on or off, and we will see that effect in a second. So here we're gonna play the light control, and right here below it, we are gonna simply say right muzzle emission dot rate over time is equal to left muzzle emission dot rate over time, which is equal to 10F. And here we are gonna say right fire emission dot rate over time is equal to, so it's equal to the left fire emission rate over time, which is equal to 30F. And that is that. Else here, again here we are gonna say else. If we are not pressing the key code X, we are simply gonna say audio manager dot stop. We don't want to play the music anymore. We stopped pressing the X key, and we're gonna take both of these. Right muzzle emission rate over time is gonna be equal to 0. Same as for the fire. We're also gonna take the lights. We need to turn them off. So turn them off, and we need to stop the coroutine. So here, we're gonna go back, and I'm simply gonna say stop coroutine. So what did we do here? What is this? Well, it is the following. If we press the X key, if the audio manager is not playing the sound, then play the sound, and then we are simply gonna start the light effect. The light effect I explained, while true, so this is an infinite loop. While true, it's an infinite loop. It will turn on the lights, and notice, if I go back, left light and right light, left and right, their intensity is set at 0. It will make it like this. So it will be 1 and then 0, and I need to go here into the game view so that we can see this effect. So it will be 1 and then 0 and then 1 and then 0 and then 1 and 0, so on and so forth. So you see it will turn off and on the lights, off and on, off and on. It will be like you standing in your room and turning your lights on and off. This is what we are doing here. So this is for the start coroutine light control. We know, and I talked about it in the beginning, this rate over time. It will stop. We started it here, or we set it here to 0 for the muzzle and the fire. And we saw that when we run our game, they start shooting. Again, let me go back here. I'm gonna uncomment or comment these lines of code out. And when I run the game, we are gonna see the particles not shooting. And the reason for it, let me just go quickly here, I just remembered, is because of this here. Because when we are not pressing the key code X, we're gonna set the emission to 0. So let me just comment all of this right here, and we will need to, well, uncomment it later on. But notice now, let me just clear the console, hit the play button. We will see now the particles are shooting. So the particles by default, they are shooting. And when we set the emission rate here to 0, the emission rate, think of it, how many of those particles are gonna come over time. So when we say 0, it's 0 particles. No shooting, no shoot effect. So let's test out the shooting now. So when we press the Z key, or actually the X key, when we press the Z key, we're gonna fly. When we press the X key, if the audio manager is not playing, play the shoot sound, start the light control to turn on and off the lights over a period of time, so 0.3 of a second, while this is true, and it will be true until we call stop coroutine. And it is going to set the rate of the particles to 10 for the muzzles, so left and right, and the fire is gonna be 30. And when we stop pressing the key code X, we're gonna stop the sound effect, so the shoot effect, set back the emission rate at 0, set the light at 0 to turn it off, and stop the coroutine. Let's try it out now. But I am quickly gonna lower the volume down because we're gonna hear the shooting. So notice now. Let me just pump up the volume and notice how the light is turning on and off. So you see? The light is turning on and off, and we see the particles are shooting. And the particles are shooting, and notice when I press and release it just for a second, you see the lights and this awesome cool effect. So this is the effect how you can simulate it in FPS games, so first-person shooters. When you see that light flashes off, when you see the muzzle of the fire and whatnot, this is how you do it. And notice now when I change the rotation of the hands, we will also shoot in that direction. So notice now the particles are going up, now going down, backwards. This is because we can, well, simply rotate everything. So we can rotate the hands. We can also fly and shoot. This is also allowed for us to do, or we program it like that. So yeah, essentially this is it. We are simply turning on and off these particle effects or their rate or emission rate. So we are turning them on and we are shooting. And of course, playing the audio manager and turning on and off the lights, which I explained, and we saw that a moment ago. So this is essentially how we can create the shoot effect, how we can fly. The next thing that we need to do is we need to detect when we press the C key, and then we are gonna shoot the rockets. But I'm gonna stop the video now because we also need to code the missile script that will move those rockets. and also some effects along with it, so on and so forth. We're gonna do that in the next video. This was it for this video, guys. So if you want to learn 3D game development in depth, this is the course for you. Definitely go and check it out. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. Attracted a lot of students in short period of time. It has also got a lot of positive reviews. And definitely you have nothing to lose. 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it, refund, and well, I still love you. And if you want to download the assets and the complete project for this tutorial series, link is in the description below. Fahir here from AwesomeTuts.com. I will see you guys in the next video.